Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. So we're reading The Road Less Traveled, still in section 1. For today we will read The Sins of the Father. It is not that the homes of these unself-disciplined children are lacking in parental discipline of a sort. More often than not, these children are punished frequently and severely throughout their childhood. Slapped, punched, kicked, beaten and whipped by their parents for even minor infractions. But this discipline is meaningless because it is undisciplined discipline. One reason that it is meaningless is that the parents themselves are unself-disciplined and therefore served as undisciplined role models for their children. They are the do as I say, not as I do parents. They may frequently get drunk in front of their children. They may fight with each other in front of the children without restraint, dignity, or rationality. They may be slovenly. They make promises they don't keep. Their own lives are frequently and obviously in disorder and disarray. And their attempts to order the lives of their children seem therefore to make little sense to these children. If father beats up mother regularly, what sense does it make to a boy when his mother beats him up because he beat up his sister? Does it make sense when he's told that he must learn to control his temper? Since we do not have the benefit of comparison when we are young, our parents are godlike figures to our children's eyes, to our childish eyes. When parents do things a certain way, it seems to the young child the way to do them, the way they should be done. If a child sees his parents day in and day out behaving with self-discipline, restraint, dignity, and a capacity to order their own lives, then the child will come to feel the deepest fibers of his being that this is the way to live. If a child sees his parents day in and day out living without self-restraint or self-discipline, then he will come in the deepest fibers of being to believe that that is the way to live. Yet even more important than role modeling is love. For even in chaotic and disordered homes, genuine love is occasionally present. And from such homes may come self-disciplined children. And not infrequently parents who are professional people, doctors, lawyers, club women, and philanthropists who led lives of strict orderliness and decorum, but yet lack love, send children to the world who are as undisciplined and destructive and disorganized as any child from an impoverished and chaotic home. Ultimately, love is everything. The mystery of love will be examined in later portions of this work. Yet, For the sake of coherency, it may be helpful to make a brief but limited mention of it and its relationship to discipline at this point. When we love something, it is of value to us. And when something is of value to us, we spend time with it, time enjoying it, and time taking care of it. Observe a teenager in love with his car and take note the time he will spend admiring it, polishing it, repairing it, tuning it, or an older person with a beloved rose garden and the time spent pruning and mulching and fertilizing and studging it. So it is when we love children, we spend time admiring them and caring for them. We give them our time. Good discipline requires time. When we have no time to give our children, or no time that we are willing to give, we don't even observe them close enough to become aware of when their need for our disciplinary assistant is expressed subtly. If their need for discipline is so gross as to impinge upon our consciousness, we may still ignore the need on the grounds that it's easier to let them have their own way. I just had don't I just don't have the energy to deal with them today. Or finally, if we are impelled into action by their misdeeds and our irritation, we will impose discipline, often brutally, out of anger, rather than deliberation, without examining the problem, or even taking the time to consider which form of discipline is the most appropriate to that particular problem. The parents who devote time to their children, even when it is not demanded by glaring misdeeds, will will perceive in them subtle needs for discipline, to which they will respond with gentle urging, or reprimand, or structure, or praise, administered with thoughtfulness and care. They will observe how their children eat cake, how they study, when they tell subtle falsehood, when they run away from problems rather than face them. They will take the time to make these minor corrections and adjustments, listening to their children, responding to them, tightening a little here, loosening a little there, giving them little lectures, little stories, little hugs and kisses, little admonishments, little pats on the back. So it is that the quality of discipline afforded by loving parents is superior to the discipline of unloving parents. But this is just the beginning. In taking the time to observe and to think about their children's needs, loving parents will frequently agonize over the decisions to be made, and will, in a very real sense, suffer along with their children. The children are not blind to this. They perceive it when their parents are willing to suffer with them. And although they may not respond with immediate gratitude, they will learn also to suffer. If my parents are willing to suffer with me, they will tell themselves, then suffering must not be so bad, and I should be willing to suffer with myself. This is the beginning of self-discipline. The time and the quality of the time that their parents devote to them indicate to children the degree to which they are valued by their parents. Some basically unloving parents, in an attempt to cover up their lack of caring, make frequent professions of love to their children, repetitively and mechanically telling them how much they are valued, but not devoting significant time of high quality to them. Their children are never totally deceived by such hollow words. Consciously, they may cling to them, wanting to believe that they are loved, but unconsciously, they know that their parents' words do not match up with their deeds. On the other hand, children who are truly loved, although in moments of peak, they may consciously feel or proclaim that they are being neglected, unconsciously know themselves to be valued. This knowledge is worth more than any gold, for when children know that they are valued, when they truly feel valued in the deepest parts of themselves, then they feel valued, then they feel valuable. The, fe- the feeling of being valuable, I am a valuable person, is essential to mental health and is a cornerstone of self-discipline. It is a direct product of parental love. Such a conviction must be gained in childhood. It is extremely difficult to acquire it during adulthood. Conversely, when children have learned through the love of their parents val- to feel valuable, it is almost impossible for for the vicissitudes of adulthood to destroy their spirit. This feeling of being valuable is a cornerstone of self-discipline because when one considers oneself valuable, one will take care of oneself in all ways that are necessary. Self-discipline is self-caring. For instance, since we are discussing the process of delaying gratification, of scheduling and ordering time, let us examine the matter of time. If we feel ourselves valuable, then we will feel our time to be valuable. And if we feel our time to be valuable, then we will want to use it well. The financial analyst who procrastinated did not value her time. If she had, she should not have allowed herself to spend most of her day so unhappily and unproductively. It was not without consequence for her that throughout her childhood she was farmed out during all school vacations to live with paid foster parents, although her parents could have taken care of her perfectly well had they wanted to. They did not value her. They did not want to care for her. So she grew up feeling herself to be of little value, not worth caring for. Therefore, she did not care for herself. She did not feel she was worth disciplining herself, despite the fact that she was an intelligent and competent woman. She required the most elementary instruction in self-discipline. because she lacked a realistic assessment of her own worth and the value of her time. Once she was able to perceive her time as being valuable, it naturally followed that she wanted to organize it and protect it and make maximum use of it. As a result of the experience of consistent parental love and caring throughout childhood, such fortunate children will enter adulthood not only with a deep internal sense of their own value, but also with a deep internal sense of security. All children are terrified of abandonment, and with good reason. This fear of abandonment begins around the age of 6 months, as soon as the child is able to perceive itself to be an individual, separate from its parents. For with this perception of itself as an individual comes the realization that as an individual it is quite helpless, totally dependent, and totally at the mercy of its parents for all forms of sustenance and means of survival. To the child, abandonment by its parents is the equivalent of death. Most parents, even when they are otherwise relatively ignorant or callous, are instinctively sensitive to their children's fear of abandonment and will therefore, day in and day out, hundreds and thousands of times, offer their children needed reassurance. You know, mommy and daddy aren't going to leave you behind. Of course, mommy and daddy will come back to get you. Mommy and daddy aren't going to forget you. If these words are matched by deeds, month in and month out, year in and year out, by the time of adolescence, the child will have lost the fear of abandonment and in its stead will have a deep inner feeling that the world is a safe place in which to be and protection will be there when it is needed. With this internal sense of the consistent safety of the world, such a child is free to delay gratification of one kind or another, secure in the knowledge that the opportunity for gratification, like home and parents, is always there, available when needed. But many are not so fortunate. A substantial number of children actually are abandoned by their parents during childhood, by death, by desertion, by sheer negligence, or as in the case of the financial analyst, by a simple lack of caring. Others, while not abandoned in fact, fail to receive from their parents the reassurance that they will not be abandoned. There are some parents, for instance, who, in their desire to enforce discipline as easily and quickly as possible, will actually use the threat of abandonment overtly or subtly to achieve this end. The message they the message they give to their children is, if you don't do exactly what I want you to do, I won't love you anymore. And you can figure out for yourself what that might mean. It means, of course, abandonment and death. These parents sacrifice love and their need for control and domination over their children. And the reward is children who are excessively fearful of the future. So it is that these children, abandoned either psychologically or in actuality, enter adulthood lacking in lacking any deep sense that the world is a safe and protective place. To the contrary, they perceive the world as dangerous and frightening, and they are not about to forsake any gratification or security in the present for the promise of greater gratification or security in the future, since for them the future seems dubious indeed. In summary, for children to develop the capacity to delay gratification, it is necessary for them to have self disciplined role models, a sense of self worth, and a degree of trust in the safety of their existence. These possessions are ideally acquired through the self discipline and consistent, genuine caring of their parents. They are the most precious gifts of themselves that mothers and fathers can bequeath. And these gifts have not been proffered by one's parents, it is possible to acquire them from another source. But in that case, the process of their acquisition is invariably an uphill struggle, often of love, often of lifelong duration, and often unsuccessful. That's all.